Hello everyone, welcome back for some more Great Ace Attorney. We are moving on to the next mission, the Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. I'm actually gonna go choose adventure, because then I want to go... Okay, well I don't want to click those actually. How do I check the mission there? Probably just continue, I bet? I bet you, okay, yeah, we'll just continue here. Okay, I wanted to see the picture there, because the mission has a picture to it, but that's fine. Let's do it. Episode 2, Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. I actually thought Soseki-san was going to only be in one case, but it turns out he's in more cases than Dick Gumshoe. Let's go. Bespoke Tailor, ooh. Episode 2, The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro.
It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road.
Again?
As the victim lay at death's door, the mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved. But no sooner had my friend saved that Eastern Exchange student from his harrowing plight.
That is not what they look like, but okay.
Then in the dim, flickering shadows of gaslight, did a second bizarre crime rend the stillness of that very night. I dare say most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day. Haunted apartment of death, the condemned criminal's curse, the dread demon of coal gas. Yet, though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene, it only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
Are we bringing Shakespeare into this? We bringing in all the Fate characters from London? Gotta get back into the regular voice. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a fledgling lawyer, just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law, having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on my way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective. This looks comfy still. Like, looking at this little attic in the... yeah, that'd be comfy. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale. A tale which was now about to awaken from a slumber, thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. Oh, he hungry! What a delicious smell wafting up the stairs. It must be nearly time for breakfast. I better go down to Mr. Shom's suite and say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. Do you bum their food? You just go down and grab a pancake and you're like, "Hi, it's me. I have not worked in 4 months." God, what a relatable thing. Ah, Runo, good. I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready, yo. She brings home the bacon. Good morning, Iris. Smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I had a surprise this morning. I forgot I put him in the outfit. Okay. Alright, that's fine. When he puts on his hat, does he instead put on the mask? I bet you. Shh. Not another word, Mr. Naruhodo. This could be... Oh, wait! It changes his pipe to like a Japanese pipe? That's pretty cool. That's pretty great. This could be just the obtruse thing for my... Obtruse? Sure, that's a word. This could be just the obtruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow. Morning to you too, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes. I see. So, that's it. It's like, buddy, back up. The truth is as clear as day. My faculties of observation have revealed it yet again. What are you talking about? You, Miss Naruto, you have this very morning met with a surprise. Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, it barely warrants explanation. Firstly, your hair's particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button of your jacket. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you having been flustered this morning. Can I talk now? But of course, though I don't look for admiration, you understand. My hair always looks like this. It's been this way since I first met you. Oh, it has. And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you? That's a big yowie moment. Really pulled your button off? Okay. Something about that phrase. Ah, yes. I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped. Why did it have to happen? Why? It's no wonder, then, that in my vexation I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. Well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket, and it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Helpful. What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring. But, Hurley, Runo said it when he came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning. Well, that really was a surprise. Okay. There he is. Yes, this man is the pride of the British Empire, the famous consulting detective, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes. Hoo-ha! There can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name, even if the letters are slightly off. Don't worry about it. Alright then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it gets cold. Give me some syrup to dip it in. That's right, some syrup. I told some people that I dip my bacon in syrup, like, you know, the syrup you put on pancakes, and they looked at me like I was insane. I'm sorry, something that I did my whole life and was told was normal, and I ate around my friends normally. It's like, to be told that by the internet that it's not normal, it's, well, I think they're wrong. I have new herbal tea for you to try too, my latest special blend. And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Sholmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl who's the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yes, The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, as published in Rancid magazine. So, Miss Naruto, won't you put us out of our misery? What surprised you this fine morning? Well, I received a letter from Japan. Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it? Really? That's right, and she had some rather startling news, in fact. Ah, intriguing indeed. You must tell us about it over breakfast. Oh yes, what fun. First things first. We must look at everything. Nothing of particular of note. I needed to go this way. This thing's gonna come into play. Again. That machine really is imposing, isn't it? But I can never remember its name. Hurley calls it his great analytoscope. He can analyze anything at all. That doesn't really help me. What does analyzing something even mean? An extremely astute question, Miss Naruhodo. Sorry? Well, as Iris said, my machine here spits out analysis results of anything with which you care to present to it. But how to interpret those results, that's the key. And I confess, I have no idea. Clearly, I'm going to have to construct a great analytoscope to solve the problem. That might not help. Okay, buddy. Just say you have a thing that you like the aesthetic of it in the room. That's it. Books, papers, scientific implements. These shelves are stuffed to the gunnels. That's not a phrase. You made that up. Mrs. Sato wouldn't be able to help herself if she were here. She can't stand mess. Susie might not be able to stand mess, but she wouldn't dare touch those shelves. Oh? Why not? Everything's in intricate balance. Curly spends ages on it. If you were to touch even one thing, the whole lot would come tumbling down. Susie noticed it was a very delicate arrangement, right from the outset. You make it sound like a meeting of great minds. But the truth is, Mr. Sholmes just needs to tidy up. He do. There's the violin. Ah yes, Mr. Sholmes' faithful musical companion. Wasn't this violin made by someone famous? Yes, it's a Stradivarius. Though I'm afraid you'd have to save up for 100 years before you could afford one, Runo. But didn't you buy it for a song, Mr. Sholmes? I found it at a pawnbrokery among the forfeited articles. It clearly says Stradivarius on the label. What? The ignorant broker had no idea of its true value, you see, so I paid a mere 55 shillings for it. Yes, I have something of a turn for shopping. Herlock Sholmes, bargain hunter. If he was reincarnated, he'd be one of those guys on that extreme couponing show. You know, the one where it's like, they're in line and like just doing coupon, and they get down like a $500 shopping trip to like 30 cents. But in doing so, like back up everyone. And also, you know, break the rules, because I have never, ever seen a shop where they're like, you can use more than one coupon. Every coupon I've ever seen has always said you can only use one coupon per person per visit. Like, I don't get how that show works. Anyways. Me too. But is it really a Stradivarius then? But of course, my dear fellow, it said so on the label. I think perhaps the ignorant broker had something of a turn for selling. Just like Sharpie on it. Just says, yep, it says Antonio Stella bottom tile. Once again, I make that reference. Once again, I hope anyone gets it. When it gets this time of year, Londoners seem to leave their hearths on all day long. And I love it. As time goes on, I'm finding myself running hot more often than not. It's like -3 outside right now. It's December. And I'm leaving the window open. I'm like, get the cool in. Something very relaxing while watching the flames flit and dance about. And yet I love crawling under my kotatsu though, so I do get it. But a fireplace in days of summertime is a waste of space. Really, no use at all. Rather like a great detective in days of no crimes and no criminals. Hurley? But consider this. Instead of a fireplace, a frost place. It's my latest idea. An extraordinary hearth from which emanates a cool breeze in the hot summer months. What do you think? Did he just invent air conditioning? I think if you invented such a thing, your name would go down in history. The principle is extremely simple. One must, of course, light a cold fire in the hearth. Yes, of course, brilliant! The trouble is, none of the fires I build ever burn cold. Oh, how it taunts me. So, as you British say, it's a bit of a damp squib. Isn't that a slur? Isn't that a bad word? Don't they use that in, like, Harry Potter as a slur? Go to Google. Squib. Is Google not loading again? Is Google doing the thing it does every now and then where it's like, yeah, we see you're recording a video. We're not going to load. Yeah, it's not doing it. Guess what? We are going to go down in history. Oh, here we go. Squib. A small firework that burns with a hissing sound before exploding. Or a satirical piece of writing. All right. Scroll down one more. Harry Potter, a squib, also known as Wizardborn, was a non-magical person who was born to at least one magical parent. Squibs were wizard-born muggles. I see. So, once again, J.K. Rowling simply steals another concept and makes it her own. And and creates a new slur from it. How lovely. Ah yes, the huge metal chest with the lace cloth on it, being used as a table for tea and coffee. It's very sturdy, that's for sure, and firmly locked shut. That chest contains my father's detailed records of Hurley's many cases. Yes, so I've been led to believe. Though, personally, I've never actually seen inside. And that's the way it will stay. Those papers are a secret between Daddy and me. Go opening it uninvited, you might find yourself being bitten. What? Is there a beast inside there or something? Yeah, there's just a little guy in there. He just lives in there. You slide him breadcrumbs through the little keyhole. There are different pieces of evidence from cases you've solved, aren't they, Mr. Sholmes? Not quite, Mr. Naruhodo, not quite. These trinkets are a selection from cases I've solved with particular aplomb. They're souvenirs of my success. Memories, Mr. Naruhodo, memories. Really, so tell me about the case in which the bust of Napoleon featured. I forget. Memories, he says. Wonderful, Mr. Sholmes, wonderful. He's so... I feel like Rinosuke is definitely a little sassier than Phoenix there. Ah, yes, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? What's in the melting pot today? The blue carbon... Don't Google that! Don't Google that! Carbuncle is one of those things that you see in Final Fantasy or Puyo Puyo, and then you're like, what a cute thing! What's a carbuncle? And then you Google it, and you see the worst pictures ever. It's a medical thing. Yes, it's from a case of theft that Hurley solved ages ago. The theft of a precious stone. A carbuncle is another name for a garnet, you see. No, it's not. It's a name for a bundle of nerves that gets tied up in the body and, like, explodes, and it's horrible. It's bad. Especially if it's cut with a rounded top. Oh, really? And this garnet was blue, was it? Wouldn't that make it a sapphire? I don't know. Gems are weird. Well, that's the thing. They're usually red. No blue garnets have ever been discovered. Give a Steven Universe fan 5 minutes. They'll make it work. Oh. So who knows what the stolen gemstone actually... probably a sapphire, as I said. That's the real mystery of the case. A proper Herlock Sholmes conundrum, huh? It's probably just a sapphire cut wrong. There's so many different bottles up there on that charming little set of white shelves. I don't know. I think it's just a shelf. I don't see anything charming about it myself, but you do you, buddy. Oh, do be careful, Runo. You mustn't try the contents of any of those bottles, even if you're hungry. I wouldn't do something stupid like that. I'm not a child, you know. He says, trying to open up a childproof bottle container, just not able to. No, but for real, I feel like if there was a childproof bottle on the table, Sholmes would have no idea how to open it. He'd be like, it says to push down and then turn. So I'm pushing down and then turning. And Iris is like, you have to do it at the same time. He's like, it's too difficult. How do you do two things at once? Then he has to remember to breathe. Well, I wish I could say the same for Hurley. The other day, he polished off a full bottle of one of my alkaloids. That's... Oh, buddy, I don't think you should do that. He what? He said he was... I'm sorry, Iris. I was so hungry. There's two things that are funny about this. One is, like, what if that was just, like, drugs in there, and then that's canon Sherlock Holmes. But then I'm also imagining that one comic of, like, Garfield eating the whole house. But this time it's Sholmes, right? I'm sorry, Iris. I was so hungry. I'll be extra careful. He was probably shitting for days. I look forward to finding what aroma your tea will have, Iris, every single day. Ah, well, I infuse a different concoction of herbs from the garden every time, so it's never the same twice. That's fun. That's fun. I love that idea. I think there's been a few times where, like, my family will make a dish, or I'll even make a dish, and, like, we won't write down what the recipe is, and it'll be amazing. And the fact that it's now a fleeting memory that you'll never have again makes it more special, you know? And if you recreate it, awesome. And if you don't, well, now you made something new. I think the idea of fleeting, disappearing, you know, you only have one shot at it, I think that's a beautiful thing. When you call it a concoction, it sounds more like a science experiment than something for tea time. Science and food are roughly the same, buddy. Oh yes, that's because different blends can have very different properties. Some calm you down, some make you feel jolly, some give you energy. The ones that Sholmes makes me make, makes him feel alive, let's say. Today's particular blend is something quite special, so you're really in for a treat. That sounds ominous. Okay. Typewriter. I can type with my eyes shut, you know. I blow students' minds when I do this. Like, I will be literally facing them, turned around and typing, and they'll look at me and they're like, how do you do that? And all I can say to them is, I was never an iPad baby. Because, like, here's the thing. When you can tactily feel the keyboard, you don't have to, you can't miss as much, right? Like, when you've been using a keyboard for almost freaking 30 years, like a physical keyboard, not one of them stupid touchscreen ones, you can just feel the placement, right? It's like piano, you know? But that's pretty cool, because, you know, she's probably not been doing that for many years. I can believe it. When a deadline's approaching, you sound like a Gatling gun. Did those exist at this time? When were Gatling guns invented? Okay, I'm curious. When were Gatling guns invented? I'm Googling this because I'm real curious. 1862. Oh, the first ones were hand-driven? Whoa, that's kind of crazy, actually. All right. You learn something new every day. That reminds me of a dream I had the other day. It was such a funny one. It woke me, actually. I was typing for a whole hour in the pitch black, but I didn't make a single mistake. That's incredible. But then, when it got light, I found that there wasn't any paper in the machine. Now I wonder if I'd actually been typing at all. I think you might have just fallen asleep on the job. You know, work dreams, those are real, right? All right, time to actually, well, first off, hey, Joe, I'm a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, about this. Shh, not another word. Yes, I see. This would be a collar, a breed of miniature canine with a particularly long neck, and for winter use. Actually, it's the armband I always wear that symbolizes my role as a defense lawyer. Precisely, which leads us to but one conclusion. Your arm is in fact the particularly long neck of a miniature canine. Oh, he's been into the good stuff already this morning, huh? I'm starting to wish I'd never shown you him this now. This man's barking mad. Anyways, the letter. This is the letter that arrived from Japan this morning by international post. Oh, how lovely. Look at Susie's beautiful writing. I wish I could read it. And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appeared as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case. Really? Oh, isn't she wonderful? A cut above your good self, my dear fellow. I've won cases too, you know. Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared in the trial as a witness. So wait. Okay, so wait. Hold up. What? I thought we were going back in time. And now we're going to have a case with Mr. Natsume here. But it seems that it's not the case? I don't know, huh? Oh, wait, uh, Natsume. No, I don't recall that name. Of course you do! We helped the man twice! Are we not going to do that second case with him? You know, in those 2 cases that took place on Briar Road 6 months ago? Okay, no, we're gonna flash back to it, I bet. Ah, the mustache twitchy man with the somewhat feline eyes and the mustache. He didn't have 2 mustaches, Hurley. What? Okay, just because he said it twice. Yes, who would forget those 2 cases? They made a very deep impression on me. Although I must confess the details are a little hazy now. A very deep impression they made on you, clearly. So, okay. Huh, what are we doing here then? Anyway, startling news. So, what was this startling news penned by Miss Sasato? Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Sholmes? Oh yes, it's very interesting, you know. I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur. He's totally forgotten then. Anyway, in her letter, Miss Sasato asked that we read over her case notes again and investigate further. Though it took place half a year ago, well, for what purpose? Because of something that Mr. Natsume said to her, apparently. He suggests that the real reason why she was called back to Japan so suddenly might have something to do with that case of the haunted lodgings. This is crazy that we're time skipping and now we have a missing case that we're going off of. It's a really interesting thing, if a bit confusing. Oh, on Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Miss Sasato's father questioned him about the case, she says. Something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotoba, prompting him to send that telegram. Oh, that case, yes. It was very strange, wasn't it? Yeah. And I had compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication, too. But then Hurley here was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, you said. Very mysteriously as well. Really? I said that. Are you sure? Do you perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Sholmes? About why Miss Sasato was suddenly told 4 months ago that she had to return to Japan? Repatriation, wow. Someone got paid big bucks to put that word in here somewhere. It's been 4 months now since we waved Susie off at Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she just suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan. Indeed it was. Due to a telegram she received from her homeland, I believe. That's right, telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No. It was said she was just suffering from an high fever, the cause of which was unknown. He's not dead. But according to this letter, that news about her father's fever was just a ruse. A ruse? So Susie's daddy lied to her so that she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that? I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea. But she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodgings. Summoning her back to Japan so suddenly like that, I wonder what Miss Sasato's father is hiding. Hurley, do you know what it's all about? Well, who can say? What? But you said... Please, I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar is surprisingly full today. Okay. A stringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel, even if I were quite at leisure. So, man the fort in my absence, won't you, Iris? I will, Hurley, don't worry. See you later. I have to go stare at a wall for an hour. As he does. He scuttled off rather quickly there. Like some sort of scuttlebutt. A good word. I love that phrase. think perhaps Professor Mikitoba isn't the only person hiding something. Saseki-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By, of all people, Mr. Sholmes. What is this mystery that's going on? I found them at last. Iris, are they the notes about the case? That's right. Susie and I compiled them together. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Runo? Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the shadows of this case. Perhaps if I read over the notes again, something will come to light. That's the spirit. If this is how this is gonna be, where we're reading about a case that we didn't play, and then we have to use that with the, modern stuff, that'd be hella interesting. And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again together. Everything from what happened to our investigation and that fierce battle in court that followed. Reliving every detail. I just need to find a clue. I have all the time in the world. Because, of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain. When did that happen? Sorry, when did that happen? Oh no, we're actually gonna play it? Okay. It was 6 months ago. A mysterious incident that unfolded on the wintry streets of London. Okay, well, this is the older one. A young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement of Briar Road with a knife in her back. Fortunately, her life was spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident. It was a rather silly event, all things considered. The fog was thick and nobody saw her attacker, but by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the same time and was duly arrested. That man was Saseki-san, and the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Sholmes. Believing in our compatriot's innocence, Susato-san and I decided to represent Saseki-san in court, and after a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. Joyful joys, jubilant jubilation, was the man's reaction after the trial, but his jubilant jubilation was short-lived. We received a telegram from Mr. Sholmes the following morning. What? The morning after? The victim... The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness. Hurry to Bart's at once. So Susato-san and I summoned a handsome... A what? I'm Googling this. What the frick is a handsome? Despite what someone might call me, it's if someone called me that, I'd say thank you very much. Handsome. It is a 2-wheeled horse-drawn carriage accommodating 2. Let me see this. Is that like... Okay, I type in handsome and I go to images and it says, do you mean handsome Squidward? No. Alright, so it's like, yeah, it's just one of those ones where it's like the singular 2 wheels, you sit in it, and then there's a person who's standing at the back whipping the horse as you do. Okay. So Susato-san and I summoned a handsome and headed immediately to the hospital. There's a chance I googled that last time. It did not stick in my mind. What is that statue? There is a rat! That is just a rat? There's just a rat right there. Maybe we should go to another hospital. There you are at last. Good morning, Mr. Sholmes. I think not. Oh, it's such a cute outfit, actually. You're late. What on earth took you so long? Your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Sholmes, and it's a 20-minute ride to the hospital. That's right, and it's 5:30 now. I think we made very good time. The time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I've been waiting for what has felt like an eternity. Huh. In point of fact, I myself was awoken at 4 this morning by a telegram boy, and feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been roused at such an hour, I sent one to you. Well, thanks for that. Anyway, you're here now, so the victim is over there. She's only just regained consciousness. Did she have a 3D model before at all last time? I don't think so. You should introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here. So that's the lady who was found on the snow-covered pavement with a knife in her back. Her name is... ah, yes, here we are. Miss Green. That she is. She is green indeed. I need to deal with... why is there just a rat? A mouse, Mr. Naruto, an enormous mouse. Vermin in a hospital. That doesn't seem the best. But it looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump. I'm not sure who can say that's down to the excellence of the facility, if that's what you're thinking. Nothing to do with the thing? Okay, what's this? This rounded wooden figure isn't the most charming, is it? I don't think that's a decoration, Miss Naruto. It's an artist's mannequin, I believe, used when practicing sketching the human form in different poses. Oh, that's a unique model. I'm sure there are people who have very well-funded Patreons who would make good use of that. Really, it's not exactly what you call a typical figure for that purpose, though, is it? I mean, don't act surprised. This is a normal thing to say. Also, I think your little peach / cherry blossom cuts outs in your... because they're like, it's hearts if you look one way, but they're also like the cherry blossom pattern. The cutouts in the gloves, really cute. No, I suppose it's not. I confess I've never seen one so full-figured before. Well, if you want to draw a full-figured person, it's the right tool for the job. True. All those little plump parts can be positioned and sketched reliably. Sure. Look, there's a photograph in this frame here. Oh yeah? Who the freak's this? Who's this dweeb? Oh yes, it's a picture of a young gentleman. He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Watch it be that this was Miss Green before the incident. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think? Brother, perhaps, too? My, Mr. Naruto, I didn't know you had a sense for matters of the heart. Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought of. Okay. That's an open window. Drugs? There are lots of bottles in that cabinet, aren't there? You think it's safe to keep them like that? Mm-hmm. If you were a patient here, I feel sure you'd take some medicine by mistake when you were half asleep. That is a worry, but at least the cabinet has a lock, even if it's only a flimsy-looking one. Oh, I've no doubt you'd manage to unlock that somehow while you were half asleep as well. There are limits even to what I can do when I'm half asleep, you know, Miss Sasato. What's this one here? This looks like the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Do not feed. What is this place? A zoo? You know, I seem to remember seeing an almost identical sign in our local park. For the pigeons, yes, this is a person. Poor woman, I hope she hasn't read this. That is really mean. Are we not going to talk about the thing? What about the bag? This must be the bag of Miss Green's personal belongings. She would have been brought directly here after she was found stabbed on the pavement, though. I expect a friend or family member probably brought some things for her. Alright then, let's see what's inside. Well, she's right there! Buddy, change of clothes no doubt, and... No, Mr. Naruto. You must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings. But the young maiden might have chocolate. Oh, are you saying that because she is rotund, buddy? Wow, not cool. Okay, do we have her profile? We do not. What do we have? The book receipt and the nearby maps, street map. Okay. Yeah, that's the same. Oh, we are literally just continuing this thing from the day after. That's wild. This is so weird. Good morning. Hello. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Oh no, was it your knife that... Are you the man who... No, I'm a lawyer. I know we all look the same, apparently. And I'm Sasato Mikitoba. Pleased to meet you. Oh no, was it your knife then? Are you the one? No, I assure you, I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. We heard that you'd regained consciousness and wanted to come give you our best wishes. Best wishes? For me? Thank you. I'm Olive Green. I'm an artist. Well, no, that's not right, is it? What I mean is I'm trying to be an artist. You are so small. What I really mean is I desperately want to be an artist. But the truth is, I don't have any talent. I know I don't. It's no wonder I was stabbed in the back. I don't think that's related, actually. Gosh, this young woman seems to bend over backwards to put herself down. It's very difficult for her. It's like, Sasato, not you too! Seeing as we're here, we should ask about what happened from her perspective, I suppose. Do we have her in our thing yet? 20, okay. You regain consciousness after being comatose for days after suffering a stab wound to the back. The first thing that they say is, don't feed her. Okay. Okay, tell me about the incident. To suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement. What a terrible experience you had, Miss Green. It was so cold that day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago now, I think. Is that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. Oh, but the case has been solved, hasn't it? Well, I've been here in the hospital, I mean. Indeed it has, my dear madam. Spectacularly, by none other than I, Herlock Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, as you well know, is Mr. Naruhodo's hard-working court that solved the case. Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green? Yes, I'm afraid so. A gentleman from the police force is supposed to come to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming round seems to have made everyone frantically busy. I'm sorry. I never should have regained consciousness. It was selfish of me. Oh no, we're all so relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. Really, we are. With that kind of attitude, maybe her surname should be Blue, not Green. Is that a gosh dang Pokemon reference to how Pokemon Blue was Pokemon Green, but then they renamed the characters so Green became Blue? Is that a joke? There's a chance. It's also just a color joke, so probably not. Tell me about yourself. So, you're an artist, are you, Miss Green? Oh no, I couldn't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really, at Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. I'm trying to find the joke there. There's one that I don't want to say. Let's not. Oh my, an Academy of Fine Arts. Great Britain is such a wonderful country. Tell me, Miss Green, do you live here? Do you live hereabouts? Oh no, actually, I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road. I see. How very interesting. Oh no, is it? Brixton is some 10 stops away on the underground from it. Hold up. What? When did the underground get made? What? When was the London Underground made? What? 1863? What? How is it so old? Did they even have trains back then? Like the subways, I guess. That's weird to consider. What do you mean the London Underground is like I will see the 200-year anniversary of that in my lifetime. That is so weird. What the frick? Why is your country so old? It's weird. Oh, disgusting. Brixton is some 10 stops away on the underground from here, and Thorndyke Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton town centre. Does that matter, Mr. Sholmes? Perhaps not, but Briar Road is a far less... What is that? Sluburious? Salubrious? Salubrious! Briar Road is a far less salubrious part of town. Alright, salubrious. What's this word? My autocorrect can't even detect it. It's like, that's not a word. Health-giving. Healthy. Pleasant. Not run down. Okay. Salubrious. Once again, you see a word and you're like, someone on the development team was bet they could find a place to use it. Dwelt in by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Mustache. Why would you call him that? I'm just in shock. Inferior means? I suppose the Saki-san does fit the bill. It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young, fine art student to be walking in such a district. That's all. What's this? She's suddenly clammed up. Mr. Sholmes, you should be ashamed of yourself, prying into a young maiden's private affairs. Oh dear me, do forgive me. If you don't mind, I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack up my things. Oh, yeah, of course, we won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. Is the rat gonna be gone? Oh my god, the rat's gone. Why's the rat gone? Did she shove the rat into the bag? Did she eat the rat? Is there Mr. Narrow Fodder here? Mr. Narrow Fodder? Narrow Fodder now? Well, if you're looking for Mr. Naruhodo, the lawyer, that's me, but... Oh, Mr. Narrow Fodder, good. This is for you. It's a message from Mr. Saucy Nutsmeg. Mr. Saucy Nutsmeg? Mr. Natsume, send a message to me. But would a policeman be delivering a message from Mr. Natsume? Exactly. What's going on? What's a Scotland Yard constable playing delivery boy at this time in the morning? Ugh, what are you waiting for? Let me see that. Oh! Well, this is most unexpected. Something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? There's something wrong, Mr. Sholmes, he says. Have you not seen this note? I know, I haven't opened it yet. You took it from me. No, how could I have? It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case calls. A case of murder, no less. We must depart at once. Murder? Call a cab. Time is of the essence. But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking we ought to, pay him a visit in his lodgings once we did. That will be entirely convenient. Convenient? What do you mean? It's all here in the note, my dear fellows. The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodgings. Wait, what? I'll hail a... What is a fiacre? Is that like a 4-person thing? What is it? A small 4-wheeled carriage for public hire. These are French. Okay, how do you say this, please? Fiacre. A fiacre. I'll hail a fiacre at once. Okay. I'm learning all sorts of historical terms here. It was only yesterday that Sasaki-san was in court, and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now, the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address. Louis, did you see Miss Garrett again? Oh my god. He may very well be the unluckiest man alive. Or so it seemed to us at the time. We were soon to discover that it was worse than we thought. Oh? Okay. "21st of February, 7:18 a.m., Mr. Natsume's lodgings, ground floor." Who's this dweeb? Where is this? What on earth? Yeah. Oh my, the gentleman is deceased. Without question, he's dead. Locum student, Mr. Naruto Esquire. Mr. Natsume. Oh, why? Why is this happening? Why to me? I've only just got out of court yesterday. I was finally home after 2 days of misery. And then I wake up the next day to this. No early bird should catch a worm like this. Woeful worm without wiggle. I see you in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache. Not the horrible hairlock Sholmes. Shoo! Shove off! Show yourself the door. I never invited you. Mr. Sholmes came here with us. I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsume. I'm entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you? Oh, hi, Gregson. Here they are, already. The busybodies. Ah, Inspector Gregson. What a pleasant surprise. Pleasant, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face at a crime scene, Sholmes. Huh. I deduce, your Inspector, that your heartburn is a result of your excessive consumption of fried food. Good morning, Inspector. This is a crime scene. Don't you go touching anything. Or good morning to you too, Sunshine. Boy, we're just in. Okay. What the frick is this place? What's going on? First off, oh, I said hands off. You're gonna mess up my crime scene. Oh, no, I just wanted to look, that's all. No chance. I know you're kind. You'll mess it up just by looking at it. Someone's in a bad mood. There's certainly some bad air in here, isn't there? Ha 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 ha! What? Alright, it sounds like I'd better talk to the inspector first and try to curry some favor. Get it, curry. They eat that a lot in Britain. So, Inspector, what was the victim's name? Who was he? Mr. Shut up. What are you talking about? Mr. William Shamspeare was a lodger here. William Shamspeare. Okay. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. Bit of a dead loss as it happens, or just dead. Mr. Shamspeare. It was the landlord, old Mr. Garrideb, and the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, who found him. The fellow didn't rise at his usual hour, so Garrideb got worried and kicked the door down. Can't a man just sleep in? Also, doesn't Mr. Garrideb have a bad leg? I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right there. It was that, jittery Japanese hunchback. That set of words together sounds so mean. It was that jittery Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking. Really? Taseki-san? As you know, all them Asians, they're able to do kung fu. It's in their DNA or something. It's like, oh my god, dude. The victim was pretty hard up, it seems. Even done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, and no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in this house. That's really sad. Miserable life and a miserable end to it. So, what exactly is Mr. Natsume still doing here? He's not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't you have him sent away from the crime scene? Well, I'm not saying it's because the fellow looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious. But I thought it'd be prudent to take a statement from the cohabiter. You nearly said culprit there, didn't you? Oh dear. Mr. Natsume appears to be under suspicion again. Certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he? This is before they discovered the term autism existed. Poor man. How unfortunate. Hey, did you know? The first person who was ever diagnosed with the official term autism is still alive. That's how new of a concept it is. Anyway, I can't say much till the coroner gets here. But I don't think the fella's been a goner that long. The body's still warm. And if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could ever bring myself to touch a dead body. Okay. Hi, Saseki. What a terrible thing to have happened.
It's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences.
So the victim lived here on the ground floor, and your room is just one story up, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose.
So, did you know the victim? Were you friends? What's the matter with Saseki-san now?
It was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem so shaken by it? Well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger. But did he ever invite me to his room? Never! On my honor, I swear it.
What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you'd never asked now, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why I sent word asking you to come. Through that inspector over there.
Buddy. What are you doing? Mr. Sholmes? What are you doing? You need only observe it to know, my dear fellow. Investigating. Naturally. There's nothing natural about that pose. Mr. Sholmes, have you made some miraculous discovery? Patience, my dear madam, patience. Not been in this room 5 minutes. So far, all I've managed to deduce, is what actually happened. My goodness, but isn't that everything we need to know, Mr. Sholmes? Now that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way. At the present time, I have managed to draw 2 incontrovertible conclusions. The first, that there was a physical struggle here last night in which the victim fought for his life. He just starts silently screaming, Mr. Natsume, what's wrong? Is something that Mr. Sholmes said significant somehow?
No, don't mind me. Forget I was here.
And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips.
Nonsense!
Alright, Mr. Natsume, why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Sholmes' deductions?
No, please, pretend I'm not here. Invisible, ineffable, inscrutable, insignificant.
Impossible to ignore. You must tell us everything, Mr. Sholmes. Spare no detail. But of course, let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. We've heard some truly astounding great deductions from Mr. Sholmes in the past. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time? So, my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Herlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Act 1. Aw, they didn't change the silhouette. That's fine. Oh, wait, is it gonna flash to the other costume? Oh, that's crazy weird. Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Got a little schmutz on his cheek there, and is that green butter? What the frick is that? Also, Natsume, are you okay, buddy? A foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. What is that? Next to the victim, we notice a large diamond plate which contains, you'll observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful? Indubitably. Hey! Hey! I survived eating soap, he will too! Why is this soap set so purposefully upon this dish? Like the victim's last supper, in fact. Yes! Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course. The form reveals the answer. It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. Yet the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of this plate. The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Though personally, I have greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course. What do you mean by that? What? What does that mean? That's not what you look like. Poisoning from soap ingestion. Okay? I forgot we do them both. Suicide or murder? The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that the death occurred during the victim's last supper. If the man dine and die alone, this single teacup suggests the answer. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal would have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. No, probably not. Because that was... You had to get in there. The forced open now. At the time of the incident, the door was locked. And the sole key was in the victim's pocket. Is this another damn locked room murder? No, well, I guess it's unlocked now, but it kind of was. Oh my god, is everything in these games locked room murders? In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Alone with his inferior soap, from whence wafted an inferior scent. With that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed on its way to the hereafter. Alright. No possible perpetrator present. That's some good alliteration, buddy. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Sholmes's great deduction. Yeah, no? No. You know, not gonna be that. There's just one thing, Mr. Sholmes. You are disposed to identifying just one thing, aren't you, Miss Naruhodo? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think the man would have eaten soap? It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but one so destitute, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appetizing. Or you're a kid, and you walk into your grandma's bathroom and you see what looks like a chocolate bar on the counter, and you take a bite, and then only later do you think, oh, maybe there shouldn't be food in the bathroom, and then later on your family finds the teeth marks on there, and they're like, did someone bite into the soap? And you're like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Now, for years, they buy you chocolate-looking bear soaps as a little joke to be like, oh, don't bite this one, Tanner. And then, how extraordinary. In truth, I have tried a little soap myself in the past. Is it to wash out anything from perhaps before a drug test, buddy? You've eaten it, you mean?
I was so hungry, Mr. Naruhodo.
My dear fellow, it was some time ago now. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. If Sholmes existed in the modern day, he would fall into an MLM. And did it? As I writhed in agony on the floor and spit out the contents of my stomachs, yes, I believe it did. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. It has an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did. There's something that troubles me as well, actually. What's that? It's Mr. Natsume. I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eye. No, he's just kind of like that, I think. Almost as if Mr. Shome's deductions touched a nerve somehow.
Nonsense.
Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last long. I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, Great Detective's deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth. Yeah, Mr. Shome's observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it in at an obtuse angle. Like this. This is the angle. When he does that, it falls to us to straighten things out. Alright then, let's see what we can do. Yes, we must pick out the key words in Mr. Shome's quite brilliant deductions and discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. We can do that. I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Shomes meant to say in the first place. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, we all continue to light and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Herlock Sholmes, Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. Once more. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Alright, let's fix this. How is this going to relate to the greater mystery, right? Careful observation. The victim reveals the contents that transpired last night. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Okay. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate, which contains, you will observe, one half of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful indubitably. Why is this soap set so purposely upon the dish with the victim's last supper? In fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. Alright. Well, you can't deny that a fork implies the man was eating something, or about to eat something. Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I should prefer to use a fork than attempt it with chopsticks. Or you could pick it up and use your fingers, but okay. And of course, only half the bar of soap is left on the plate. But might there be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap. Yeah, oh. Other piece of soap. Can I look at them? Do you think he was drinking tea with his soap? The cup's empty, so there's no way of knowing. How about this for an idea? Perhaps the cup was full of water, and he was dissolving soap in it so he could gulp down as much as possible. Please remember that he may not have actually been the soap lover he's made out to be. What about the spit stain? No? Okay. What was that there? Anyways, there's another piece of soap there. Look, there's more soap on the floor here. Mr. Shamspeare must have really loved this stuff. Let's not jump to conclusions, Mr. Narhardo. Look closely at the soap. Do you see that it would fit together perfectly with the half bar on the table? What the? How can that be? I think they are two halves of the same bar that broke apart. Okay. Let's look at the fork. I suppose you need soap with a fork, which... This is such a good screenshot. What an idiot. I don't think it's a question of which implement you use. You shouldn't eat soap, full stop. But then why? Why does the man have a fork in his hand? Oh dear, I understand your frustration, Mr. Narhodo. Please don't take it out on me. The point is, if we decide the man used this fork to eat the soap, we wouldn't be changing Mr. Chome's deduction. We really ought to consider some other clues. Okay, so is there anything else? So again, the man really about to eat it. Let's pick this one.
Take that!
Yeah. Yo, you look good. What is that on your shoulder? What is that on your shoulder? You got a little mouse buddy? What the frick? That's strange. It was kind of awesome until we had a mouse buddy. What? That's just confusing. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half of the soap on the table. In short, the victim was not eating the soap at all. But it's obvious, really, for no depths of hunger could drive any man to attempt to eat soap. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruhodo, and one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. For London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of this plate. Mr. Sholmes is still pushing the soap argument then. Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it. If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I want to be washing my hands with it. If I were... Okay. What was soap in London made of? I'm thinking, is it lyre? Fats and oils. Okay. Victorian era soap. I guess it's a bit later than that. Wood ash. Oldest soap. Glycerin soap. Pears. Pears glycerin soap. Glycerin sounds like something you probably shouldn't have, right? I feel like you shouldn't have it. Right? Glycerin? I feel like that's a bad thing. Rosemary, thyme, pear fragrance, perfume, glycerol, rosine, sodium palmate. Okay. Later on they added alcohol. Okay, so no lyre or anything. Okay. I'm like, that's a thing. Just curious. But there are no signs of any food in this room at all. I mean, we're assuming it's soap. There's entirely a chance it's just bad cooking. Like, maybe this was Mr. Natsume attempting to make, like, Japanese sweets. And using, like, anthrax instead of sugar or something. Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it? Okay. Teacup. Look in here. Anything new with the fork? The victim didn't eat the soap, then what did he eat? Yes, it's a real mystery, isn't it? I've got it! He wasn't interested in eating the soap at all. It was the fork he wanted to satisfy his hunger with. Mr. Naruhodo, I really don't think it's helpful to continue with this line of reasoning that the gentleman had peculiar tastes. Masato-san is such a gentle way with words, but I know when I've been told off. Yeah, it's not my strange addiction there, buddy. I just want to eat sand. I just want to eat sand. Contents of the plate is just... Going back, do you remember when, for some reason, no matter what YouTube video you watched, you always got the girl addicted to sand video? It was right there at the top. What a time. Anyways. Contents of the plate is just the soap again, isn't it? Well, you know there's a saying in Japanese, don't you? If your food is poisoned, you might as well eat it, plate and all. I've never heard this phrase. What? Well, there's an image. All I picture now is the victim first taking a bite of the soap and then the plate. The soap like some tofu and the plate like a giant rice cracker. Okay. Oh dear, that sounds like a very bland combination. It does. Both of those things should hold other things, you know? Okay, so it's probably the teacup, right? Yes, a Western vessel for serving infusions of dried tea leaves. It's true, no handles on Japanese ones. When I went to Tokyo, I got a Japanese-style teacup. It has Sonic the Hedgehog on it. It's a teacup, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. Oh my god. She literally hit him with the stop being like this. And it's empty. So we've already established that the victim wasn't eating soap when he died. However, there's significant evidence to suggest that he was drinking tea. My thoughts exactly. Okay.
Take that!
Yeah, probably from the teacup. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup. Indeed, cups have been the vessel of choice for practicing poisonous over the centuries. And it would appear that this victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in the room. Which leads us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in this teacup. Yeah, poison in the tea. Alright. I mean, you can poison yourself. It is possible. Cause of death identified. We proceed to Act 2 while we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that the death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? This single teacup suggests the answer. The Western vessel for infused hot drinks again. It's already featured heavily in our deductions so far. Yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shamspeare was having a drink of tea. There would be nothing remarkable about that, but what troubles me is Mr. Natsumi's reaction when we heard Mr. Shom suggest it. There's more to this deduction than it seems. We must closely examine the scene of the crime again for more clues. Oh, well, shoot. Alright, that answers that. What else? The fork yet again. The fork again? The victim just seems to be holding it so pointedly. Makes it impossible to let go of the idea that it must be involved somehow. Well, let's hope it turns out to be a useful clue in the end. Okay. Single teacup. It's empty. It's the only cup on the table. It would appear so, yes. And when you consider those facts, Mr. Shom's reasoning seems highly logical. It's always the same in these deductions. The real truth is always buried a little deeper than the great detective suggests. Mr. Naruto, you seem very dubious of Mr. Shom's all of a sudden. Yeah, because, bro... Okay, there's clearly something with the hat there, too. Anyways, yeah. It's another Western vessel for... It's a teacup. Are we doing a brand new thing of a ladder versus stepladder? It's the teacup there. And it's a teacup, and it too is empty. Given that he's actually holding this one in his hand, we can assume that this is the cup from which Mr. Shamspeare was actually drinking. But if that's the case, well, this changes everything. Everything we've deduced up to now is turned on its head. I have a bad feeling about this. I almost don't want to say it. Yes, I know exactly how you feel. The truth matters more. Did the man dine and die alone? This other teacup suggests the answer. Yes, there were 2 teacups in this room all along. In other words, this is a strong indication that at the victim's last supper, there was a guest present. That looks like our Benedict Egbertson, which... At the very least, we can now say with certainty that somebody else was here in the room last night, taking tea with a victim.
What are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable.
To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. In which case, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Do you mean to say you know exactly who it was in the room at the time of the victim's death? Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. It's gonna be that bottle back there, I bet. Give me sake. I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going. I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the halcyon days of eating too much soap. The identity of the guest who was here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about. Well, you can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. No, I suppose not. I'm looking around again. It's gonna be... empty bottle. It's gonna be sock... Oh? No? Okay. Anything over here? Candle? Candle's been burning for a while. Even Mr. Shamspear didn't eat candles, it seems. We've already established that he didn't eat soap either. You think perhaps the guest brought this candle here last night? Even if he or she did, does it reveal anything about the guest's identity? Good point. There goes my idea. Snuffed out like the candle will be. If you sigh so deeply, Miss Naruhodo, you're in danger of blowing out the flame. Okay. Broken lock. Oh dear, the latch is most definitely broken, isn't it? The door was kicked in by Mr. Natsume, according to what Mr. Garadeb told the inspector. Who knew his short, thin legs had so much strength in them? I'm not sure the length of his legs is in any way significant here. Perhaps it says more about the poor state of the door than about Mr. Natsume's strength, actually. Careful, if he overheard that remark, he'd almost certainly have a lively response. I don't know, can this broken lock really tell us anything about who was here? Nope. Pile of books? Uh-oh, are those his books? I'm gonna check this first. It's empty. Empty of liquid, but full of air. That makes you think, doesn't it? It makes me think that you're full of hot air. We should be thinking about who else was in the room at the time. Bothers, Asada-san's quip in response was cleverer than my original riddle. Anyways, pile of books. It's gonna be his books. It's gonna be Natsume's books. At first glance, it seems that the only things in this room are a makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially. I wonder what they are. Let's see. The titles read The Picture of Monsieur Lecoq, Canterbury Yearnings, and A Meal for Gaboriau. Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles before. Could just be an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day. What? Yes, on the day of the unfortunate incident when Miss Green was stabbed. Saseki-san had just been to a bookshop and bought them, that's right. And now those 3 titles are here in the room with the victim. Yet Mr. Natsume claims to have never been here before. What does this mean, do you think? I really don't know what to make of it. Pile of familiar books, yep.
Take that!
That's the one. Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is the pile of familiar books. Quite so. It's no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's a link to the truth. Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at the second-hand bookshop.
That's just a coincidence.
In that case, you will be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? In this very moment.
No, never. Non-negotiable.
Can't bring your own copies here. It proves that these 3 books are, in fact, yours. Good poses, buddy. Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could only have brought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Look at him go! Look at him go! Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. In short, there's only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in this room last night as a result of poisoning. And that same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor... Was you, Mr. Saseki Natsume. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction. Alright, so that's bad. We know it's not him. We know. We have the future sight to know it's not him. But it's not looking good. It's not looking good for you, buddy.
Not again, not again, not again. Not again!
Well then, Mr. Natsume, it would appear you're gonna have to accompany me down to the yard. Again.
But wait. Hold your horses.
Yes?
Door, key, locked. Entry, exit, entirely impossible.
He's so flustered, he's being even stranger than normal. What? You think that's an alibi? You could have just made a copy.
What?
You live in the same building, after all. You've had plenty of opportunity, I'm sure.
But, misery me!
Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance to give your side of the story later. The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache.
You horrible Sherlock Sholmes!
He really has found himself an arch rival now, hasn't he? Come on now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a carriage waiting.
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but you have to help me, please. I'm innocent.
All right, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it.
And one more thing.
Oh, yes?
My poor little kitty cat. Please give him his breakfast for me.
Oh boy. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken. Saseki-san found himself once again the prime suspect in a case of murder. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great detective. My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you. That is true. We did kind of push him into a corner. Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now. Yes, that's right. And of course... What? Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Garadeb, who discovered Mr. Shamspear. Ah, Mr. John Garadeb, yes. I expect we could find him in his sitting room on the top floor as usual. Right, we must remember to go and talk to him later then. Which we will do! Next time, guys, as we continue with some more Great Ace Attorney, the memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. Didn't think we'd be back here. Did not think we would just get an immediate sequel. What a weird timeline we're doing so far. But, curious how this is going to go. Definitely curious. I will see you guys next time for some more as we continue on with the investigation. Ciao. Yo.